The ongoing controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark in the WNBA has not only sparked widespread outrage, but also drawn attention to the league's broader issues with officiating, player protection, and overall fairness. Fans, coaches, and analysts have all voiced their concerns about the treatment of Clark, who has been subjected to an unusual and frankly dangerous level of physical aggression on the court. This concern reached a fever pitch when Diamond DeShields of the Chicago Sky delivered what many have labeled the cheap shot of the season. Clark, the WNBA's most marketable and talented player, was struck with an aggressive body check by DeShields, causing her to hit the floor hard. What was supposed to be a routine basketball play turned into a physical confrontation that left fans shocked, furious. The situation became even more alarming when no foul was called, and the referees allowed this blatant aggression to go unchecked. This incident set the stage for a growing backlash against the league and the lack of protection. Clark, one of its brightest stars. From the very moment Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, she was expected to be a game changer. After rewriting the record books at Iowa, she quickly became the face of the league. Her electric style of play, her shooting range, and her basketball IQ drew in millions of fans and skyrocketed the WNBA's visibility. Attendance at games increased, television ratings soared, and fans everywhere began to take notice of the WNBA in a way they hadn't before. But rather than being embraced as the league's shining star, Clark has been subjected to constant physical attacks, many of which have gone unpunished. In the game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, DeShields' hit on Clark was nothing short of a statement, an intentional, aggressive move aimed directly at the league's golden. There was no attempt at a clean play, no real defense being made. It was simply a cheap shot, a tactic designed to send a message. But the message it sent wasn't just about Clark, it was about the WNBA's failure to protect its most important player. And the WNBA's refusal to take action only made the situation worse. As the fallout from the DeShields incident continued to spread across social media, it became clear that the WNBA had a much larger problem on its hands. Fans, players, and analysts from all over the basketball world were appalled by the league's failure to act, and many began demanding accountability. The league's silence in the face of this blatant attack on its star player left many wondering, why wasn't the league protecting Clark? Why did it take so long for the league to acknowledge the problem? After all, Clark wasn't just another player, she was the future of the WNBA. But despite this, she found herself exposed to an unprecedented level of physicality, with no one stepping in to stop it. And this wasn't just about one missed call. It was about the broader issues within the league that allowed this to happen. The WNBA's inaction spoke volumes, and the fan base wasn't about to let it slide. As the anger from fans reached a boiling, the league was forced to take action. It was clear that the time for silence was over, and the WNBA had no choice but to address the issue. Diamond DeShields' downfall began when she was cut from the Chicago Sky after the cheap shot on Caitlin Clark. This wasn't just a roster decision, it was a warning to the rest of the league. The WNBA had drawn a hard line. If you mess with its star, there will be consequences. DeShields, who had once been one of the most promising young players in the league, found herself out of a job, not just with the Sky, but with the New York Liberty and the Connecticut Sun as well. The WNBA's swift action was a clear message to players across the league. No one is bigger than the game, and no one is exempt from the rules. However, DeShields' career didn't end with her cut from the Sky. She was offered a chance to prove herself with the New York Liberty and the Connecticut Sun, but each time she was given a lifeline, it was quickly yanked away. By the time the season tipped off, DeShields was without a team, and it felt like her career had been effectively blacklisted. What had been a promising journey was now over, and the league's decision to part ways with her had sent shock throughout the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's career, on the other hand, continues to soar, but the situation surrounding her has cast a long shadow over her success. As a player, Clark is the epitome of talent, discipline, and sportsmanship. She's never been one to back down from a challenge, and her relentless drive is what has propelled her to the top of the WNBA. But the treatment she's been subjected to raises troubling questions about how the league handles its most valuable assets. Fans have watched as Clark has been pushed, hit, and fouled, with little to no protection from the referees or the league. The lack of consistency in officiating has only compounded the problem, and it has made Clark's rise to prominence all the more difficult. She has had to fight for every inch, every call, every moment. This isn't the way a league should treat its stars. Instead of lifting her up, the league has allowed Clark to be knocked down, literally and figuratively. And the worst part? The WNBA seems content to let it happen, as if her success and the attention she brings aren't worth protecting. The deeper you dig into the WNBA's officiating issues, the more troubling the picture becomes. The referees, it turns out, are often not as qualified as one might expect for a professional league. Many of them have come from high school leagues and have limited experience at the professional level. This lack of experience has become glaringly apparent in the way they've handled Clark's treatment on the court. They've missed calls, ignored blatant fouls, and failed to protect the league's most visible player. But the problem doesn't stop with the referees themselves. It goes all the way to the top. Behind the scenes, a committee of coaches, general managers, and other stakeholders dictates the level of physicality that the game should have. This committee, however, is not neutral. They have their own agendas, and their influence over the referees has created a situation where fairness is secondary to maintaining control over the narrative of the game. This system has placed Clark in a difficult position where the rules are not applied evenly and where she is treated differently from other players on the court. Instead of protecting her, the league has allowed her to become a target for every aggressive player in the league. And unless the WNBA takes action to address this systemic problem, the situation will only continue to worsen. The WNBA's failure to protect Caitlin Clark from these dangerous fouls has sparked a broader conversation about the league's priorities. Fans are no longer just questioning the officiating, they are questioning the very structure of the league itself. Why is the WNBA allowing its most marketable player to be abused on the court without intervention? Why are players like Caitlin Clark being treated differently from others? And most importantly, why has the league remained silent in the face of this growing controversy? These questions are now at the forefront of every conversation about the WNBA's future. The league's inability to properly address its officiating issues is starting to erode the trust of fans and players alike. If the WNBA wants to remain relevant, it needs to act quickly to correct these issues and show that it values fairness, equality, and the protection of its stars. Without a commitment to change, the league risks alienating its fan base and losing the very players that have made it a success. As the debate around Caitlin Clark's treatment continues to intensify, the WNBA finds itself at a critical juncture. The league has an undeniable opportunity to harness the momentum surrounding Clark's rise, but only if it addresses the systemic issues plaguing its structure. For the WNBA, protecting its stars isn't just about avoiding negative publicity, it's about maintaining the integrity of the game. Caitlin Clark has proven to be a once-in-a-generation talent, capable of driving viewership, attendance, and even sponsor interest. Yet the league has been slow to respond to the glaring issues that have put her and other players at risk. It's one thing to preach player safety and fairness. It's another to actively enforce those values when it counts. As the eyes of the basketball world focus on the WNBA, it's clear that the league must move beyond vague statements of intent and take tangible steps to protect its stars, ensuring that its future is built on a foundation of fairness and equity. The WNBA's mishandling of Caitlin Clark's situation raises significant questions about its commitment to player safety. What happens when a player like Clark, who has brought so much attention and excitement, is not adequately protected by the very system meant to safeguard her? As her injuries pile up and the referees continue to turn a blind eye to her treatment, the league's credibility is at stake. When fans see a player like Clark, who embodies the hope and future of women's basketball, being targeted and left vulnerable, it sends the wrong message. The WNBA has always been touted as a league that values its players and its growth, but this situation casts doubt on that narrative. Moreover, the